I worked with an incredibly abusive producer.
This person you call the creator
pressured her into drinking alcohol when she was underage.
At one point, massaging her shoulders, she was too scared to tell him not to touch her.
And he would just scream.
The creator of childhood trauma.
Largely believed to be Dan Schneider.
He created some of the most iconic kids' television shows.
He handpicked Jeannette and Ariana Grande to be in his shows.
Allegations of sexism, misconduct, on-set bullying.
I can put them in any horrible predicament I choose.
You're playing an adult's game, and you don't recognize that.
He made Ariana do creepy and inappropriate things.
He knew something was off.
If you're a predator, you're gonna go and find a job in that industry.
Jeannette claims Nickelodeon offered $300,000 to not talk about what happened on the show.
Sounds like hush money to me.
She's speaking out, but why is Ariana keeping quiet?
Ariana Grande has some weird relationship with this man.
He pushed Ariana's career to stardom while Jeannette lost everything.
I was angry. I felt unsupported.
Jeannette was pretty screwed over.
Ariana owes it to her to speak.
But Ariana's a victim too.
People were scared to speak out about their experiences.
Are you expecting to hear from her?
What did Dan Schneider do to them?
I frequently make the mistake of comparing my career to Ariana's. Every time something exciting happens to her, I feel like she robbed me of having that experience myself. I'm pissed at her, jealous of her. Ariana grew up in an incredibly wealthy, idyllic town with a healthy mom. I grew up in a goddamned hoarder house with a cancerous mom who constantly wept about not being able to afford rent and utility bills.
When Jeannette rose to fame as a Nickelodeon star on Dan Schneider's show iCarly, it seemed like she was living every kid's dream, but behind the scenes, it was a nightmare.
I'm glad my mom died. It is a heavy title for a book.
Is it a heavy title? Here's the thing. I think people who have a sense of humor get the title. I think anybody who has experienced parental abuse gets the title. Anybody else, the book isn't for them.
Your mom died when you were 21, so you had experienced emotional, physical, and mental abuse from your mother. So have you come to terms with it?
It was a difficult reality to come to terms with, but something that I did through years of therapy. I really needed to understand and make sense of my past privately and on my own time, which I did, and I'm proud of that work.
What made you realize that you had been really abused?
I'm glad you asked. I think this is an important kind of area. The first therapist that I saw, as I was just sort of sharing anecdotes of my experience with my mom, she eventually got to the point where she said, you know, what you're describing is abuse. And I left. I quit therapy. I couldn't tolerate the idea, the notion that my mom was abusive, because that would mean bringing her down off that pedestal and reframing my entire life. My whole existence was sort of revolved around this idea that my mom knows best and what my mom wants for me is better than what I want for me because she knows better and I'm nothing without her. So to try and unpack that was something I wasn't willing to do initially, and it took me a while to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to try therapy again. I'm going to face that she was abusive. I'm going to deal with whatever that entails. I was never aiming for bulimia. I was attempting to have anorexia, but I couldn't keep it up without my mom. So then that would lead to, I'd starve myself for so long, and then I'd binge, and then I'd purge because I hated the feeling of fullness, hated it.